Hey everybody, welcome back. This is our 1947 Willys Cj2a. We did a 225 Dauntless conversion on it, as well as a few other things. So today we're going to be talking about what we've done to it. All right, for starters, this is a picture of what it used to look like compared to what it looks like now. As you can see, it's changed quite a bit in the past 2 years or so we've had it. So this started out as a quarantine project for me. It's literally had a full restoration, every nut and bolt. The frame's been powder coated. Pretty much everything is new on it, or close to new. We started with a very rough Cj2 to begin with. It was mostly rusted out. It had been refloored probably 2 to 3 times. So the plan for this was originally to use it on the farm, kind of redo it so it's not so dangerous. We were going to use it on the farm, maybe have it ready to where we could take it to the, gas station, run some errands, whatever we need to do. Simple things around town where we don't really have to leave it parked. Using in parades, things like that. To be able to go about 60 miles an hour down the road, and basically just use it for what Jeeps are made to be used for. As you can see, we have our worn 8,000-pound winch. We ended up going to these 20 by 12 Archons. We try to keep, somewhat of a off-roady military look to them, although we did want some bigger wheels and tires. And these are 33s as well, Toyos. So when we went to these big tires, we also ended up doing the disc brake conversion. We bed lined the whole body in a pine green Raptor liner. I hand painted all the Willys logos on it, black. We did a full interior in it. These are the original seats for the most part. They've kind of been reworked a little bit to fit a little better. We have a ammo crate center console to keep our registration stuff in, because military Jeep makes sense. We got seat belts, all 4 seats. We custom built this roll bar for it, and then we ended up plating it through here. If you can see these bolts. And it is plated on the bottom side as well to give it a nice mounting surface. As you can see, we still have our starter solenoid and coil out because we are troubleshooting a starter. We ended up installing these rocker switches in it. We have cigarette lighter and some USBs. And then we have it when you key it on, you can see the voltage comes in handy. And it is a manual transmission, 4x4, all the usuals you'd expect with it. I have rearranged some of the clusters a little bit. If you aren't too familiar with these, the passenger seat does flip up. A little bit easier access into the back, and we have this storage compartment down here. As you can see, our custom center console, a nice thick plate bolted to the floor of the body in a few places to keep it nice and intact. We got some cup holders in there. Around back, I changed up the tail lights and recess them into the body, if you can see that there. That way we don't have, big blobby tail lights sticking off the back of it. We have some nice newer bumpers, and then back down the side, manual transmission. Weirdly enough, the gas tank is under the driver's seat on these. Kind of strange. We have our Smitty built steps, and back to the front again. So Under here, I'm still doing a little wire cleanup, but we swapped in a 225 Dauntless out of a 67 Cj2a because we want to keep it original inspired, but change it up a little bit, give it a little bit more power. From there, we have our new little fuse box over here, running some wires in for all the different things. Like I said, we just kind of have this tacked up here for now. I have to do some wire cleanup and kind of clean the aesthetics of it up a little bit. But you can get the idea. We moved to an electric fan, aluminum radiator. Then we got this nice little sticker up here for the air cleaner. As you can see, we have Offenhauser valve covers. We have Heedman headers. We have a Cook's race exhaust, and it splits back to 2 duals. So overall, with our Cj2, doing this 225 conversion that everybody kind of rants about with these, I'm not so sure that's the route I would go with this again, because there's still a few issues that weren't really solved by that. Such as your driver's seat space. If I would have done this again, I would probably cut it and lengthen it a little bit, because the steering wheel is very, very, very close to your belly, and I'm kind of a skinnier person for the most part, so I can see how anyone kind of larger than me would have a lot of trouble fitting in here. It's not exactly the most comfortable thing, and for the price point, I feel like if I sought other options, I probably could have got a lot more for the money that we spent on this one. So this one's going to be moving on from us, and maybe down the road, probably towards the end of the year, maybe I'll build a new Jeep, something a little more one-off. Maybe get like a Cj2a body and put it on like a 2nd gen Ram Cummins frame, if you kind of get the idea that I'm going for there. Have it like a Jeep Humvee conversion, something kind of crazy like that. But also, there is one other thing I forgot to mention on here. I welded and closed in all the seams that these usually have on the body to clean up the look of it, which is definitely unique to one of these. Usually they have a bunch of seams all through on the fenders, on the body, around the tailgate, and they tend to be prone to rust. So all those seams tend to trap water and start to rust, and that's kind of why this one had a lot of the issues it did. As well as up in the front, I ended up boxing in this whole front frame on both sides and welding it clear back past this shock to reinforce the whole front of this frame, because your whole leaf spring mounts to the front of this frame, and they rust right here at this cross member that goes through. So you'll end up just snapping the whole front end of this frame off, which if your leaf spring is attached to that, you can kind of get the idea what happens. So we reinforced all that, and it does have quite a bit of lift on it as well. But if you look at the front, that has a pretty nice profile. So that's all for our Cj2a, and it'll be moving on from us. And I'm okay with that. But our next off-road build should be pretty interesting.